co-host. So if you want to do that, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Howdy.
People are popping in. Don, long time no see.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just getting this set up right here in Bomber Command in the office cul-de-sac central. We're gonna dive right in here in a moment. Getting us going live on YouTube for probably the next 40 minutes. And we're just gonna talk straight up about business.
Cool. I'm gonna maybe go grab my liquid lunch here for a sec, and so I can be nourished while all this information is flowing.
Fantastic. Hey, you're gonna be participating too, so you want to nourish yourself because we need your brain.
Okay, be right back.
Brain, go do what you gotta do. Right, we are there, and I mean everybody's watching as I click buttons and do things in the back end, and that's okay. It's fine. It's okay for us to do that as well. We're just getting ourselves set up and ready to go. Some of the usual studio audience, some of the usual culprits, some of the new culprits that are going to come in and join us from the syndicate community as well are going to be popping in. But of course, as always, while we're doing this, I'm waiting for YouTube to do its thing for a moment. I got a couple of other things. I'm going to get Matt to introduce himself in a sec. Mitch Cabbage Coaching, Savage in Business. And this is the MCC Mitch Cabbage Coaching Virtual Business Box Lunch, July 23rd, 2021. Coming to you live from my office cul-de-sac, deep in the bowels of the earth, where I too am trying to take over the world. And as always, I usually have at least one of these two dudes, usually both, my brothers from other mothers, my culprits, my right-hand men, the Batman and Robins to the rest of the Justice League as well that we've got here. Matt Houston on my screen is sitting right over here. Brother, go ahead and give yourself a little bit of love for a moment. Yulia, you know you're going to go on screen in a moment. You can't hide all the time as anonymous attendee number one. And Don's going to get his liquid lunch. He'll be with us soon. And we'll see who else pops in as well so that we can talk about the week that was, what's going on in business, talk about our own experiences, and more importantly, impart some education, insight, etc. to people and help them make better sense of what's going on in their business. Matt, what you got?
I have nothing but this. I am your broker of certainty. I love the conversations that I've been having over the past couple of weeks, months, as we've finally transitioned into this open for summer philosophy. You know, I see more and more people going out about. I was at one of the largest retail outlets here in Edmonton over the past week, and it was busy. Now, lots of people don't know if they were shopping or not. I'm not sure where the economy is right now, but I've had some chats with some of my clients that work within West Edmonton Mall, and they're saying that they're seeing the right movement. So I am grateful for all of it. I love seeing the energy and the people getting back out there. Obviously, be safe, be comfortable, do what you need to do in order to get there. But just know that we are here. And like I said, I am now feeling more and more certain of the successes within our teams and within our client base. And I'm looking forward to the rest of 2021.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, Yulia, you come and poke your nose in here all the time. Go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're sitting there, you can pop on camera really quick. Let them know who you are. Of course, we're going to get Don in a moment when he comes back. He finishes chugging his protein shake. So.
Well, hi, I am Yulia Cruikshank, and I'm the founder of Epic Experiences. So, yeah, I like to jump on these calls just to, it's a lunchtime. I'm feeding myself, and at the same time, as Don said, feeding my brain too. So, yeah, just when I can, I like to join and participate. So,
fantastic. And Mr. Don Verboom. Don, what you got? Introduce yourself for everybody.
Hey, Don Verboom, business coach, serving all of North America for those who need it. Business process and tools, trying to make your life better, happier, and give some more time back. So,
badass. And I'm just finishing typing one more thing. And so, normally, and Matt's going to start to smirk and chuckle here right away. I normally wait until we start this thing. I announce the subject matter for the week. And on a couple of occasions, I know that either Matt or Paul have had to go off and use an inhaler or breathe into a bag because they're like, for the love of God, you sandbag us with this shit every week. Dude, it's Friday. Why are you being so mean? This week, I'm actually going to turn the tables a little bit, not saying, hey, toss it at Mitch. What I'm going to say is, we're watching some stuff going ahead. Matt tossed one out there in a moment. So I want to talk about that retail sector, some shifts in, because I saw something too. And we take the subject matter, the stuff that we're seeing as business owners, we're seeing happen in business, take it, pull it apart a little bit, offer our 2 cents worth, and give some insight to those people that come and join us in our live audience so that they can take away something to make them smarter as business owners and entrepreneurs. So retail, Matt, that's what I heard you say. Retail, is retail back? I'm asking everybody here. You're going to get your opinion. You're going to have to talk. Yulia knows that I'm going to drag her back on camera in a moment. Retail, is retail back? And if it is, for how long? And what should we expect? And what's happened in the retail environment? If you've ordered anything on Amazon the last little while, you've probably noticed a couple of things. Things are actually taking a little longer than normal. Every time you order something on Prime, I get the same automated email, even though it says it's in stock in my local fulfillment center, that it's going to take a little longer than normal to deliver. And some stuff is a little while backed up. We're even seeing that inside of the retail environment. So retail, is it back? How long should we expect? What should we expect out of it, more than importantly? And where are we even finding the money to be able to spend it like we are in the retail segment? So with those hand grenades tossed in the middle of the room, Tribe, what you got? What do we have on retail and what retail's doing right now?
Well, if I may, I'll jump on the grenade because I quite literally just got off a call with one of my retail clients. And, even with some of the conversation that we did have about the wins and the successes, brick and mortar retail is open. Whether or not it's back is still a question mark. So, for them, they're heavy on their last season's inventory. So, we're midsummer. So that means that fall inventory should be rolling in and being sold, and it's not. So obviously supply chain and those type of delivery dates are being a little bit problematic for them. Plus they were heavy on the inventory that they had ordered. Most retail outlets purchase almost a year in advance, right? If not more. So they were expecting to be out of this much sooner. And again, they're seeing a lot of traffic. Whether or not it's, again, those tire kickers is yet to be decided. I've seen obviously an uptake in revenue for my personal clients, which has been fantastic. However, again, based off of what they thought was going to be the case as these floodgates opened, it's not quite there. So we'll see over the course of the next, quarter if it levels out and actually becomes what it should be.
Mm-hmm. Don, thoughts?
Yeah, I think retail is probably taking a hit and is changed dramatically. I mean, if they weren't pushed to a high percentage of online ordering for their business, then it's kind of unusual. So the brick and mortar stores, I think, are take major shift that was coming anyway. You're seeing the reduction of brick and mortar anyway, but just forced it to escalate so quickly over the last 18 months that I think, for those who adapted to it, and it maybe created their product with a great presence online and easy to order or pick up, or, delivery, street curb delivery, I think they're doing a great job. But if you kind of miss that boat, then you got to do some quick catch up and get on that, because that's going to be a strong part of the business going forward.
Uh-huh. Yulia, any thoughts? You work in attraction and client fulfillment, etc., right?
Yeah.
What do you have to add to this when you look at the retail environment? More importantly, what do you think is happening?
Well, on the biggest scale, first, I would like to say, retail has always been open. It's obviously, the brick and mortar stores, they've been hit the most, but the retail still existed and never went anywhere, right? So you can tell by how Amazon is doing. So to me, from what I've seen for my business, obviously, I've been last year, I would say definitely in the springtime and summertime was a little bit more quieter. Yeah, after they said the province is open, or Canada is open pretty much almost everywhere. So people eager to do things. So I only see the positive thing out of all this. So in my case, and my business been online always, so I cannot really compare how it could be after the COVID, because it's been always online business. So, but from what I can see for retail businesses, the local stores or bigger department stores, some of them suffering and actually going they closing the doors, right? So but at the same time, it's like, I guess it's in a way sort of like how to put it properly, the life cycle, right? So one store closes, another new opens up. So it's like more local brands at the same time maybe coming like on a like to play right now into the place into the game. So yeah, I mean, yes, some changes, obviously, for some it's positive, some negative, but retail is retail, and it's been here for years. So.
To toss it out in the open for everybody for a moment, and this is an article that was just published on LinkedIn 4 hours ago. Amazon last night went to all their major retailers. Amazon Prime Day happened in May in the United States. Amazon moved that forward. As of last night, they canceled Amazon Prime Day in Canada due to COVID. Not happening this summer. Gone entirely. So with that being the case, does that mean now that COVID continues to have an impact where it's even starting to go there? And they said it's because of the health and welfare of their own workers. Yay, environment. Now, does that mean that we're missing something when it comes to the rest of brick and mortar opening up? Or does that mean that this is an opportunity now for regular brick and mortar to step into that space? I mean, you can't compete with Prime Day. You get so many other retailers and everybody goes online with their store and says, I'm willing to give you a great discount. And you pump it in a private, people get great deals and it just gets shipped. But if they're willing to throttle back on something that is a major cornerstone of their business environment and one of their biggest earners in the form of sales, right? Normal traditional retail would do so much business with Christmas that it would do 80% of its retail. You know, what was that? Its usual yardstick, 80, 82, 84% of your retail business could happen in 6 to 8 weeks leading up from the 3rd or 4th week of October all the way to the 3rd week of December. And then you have Boxing Day, which turned into Boxing Week. Now, with retailers moving online, Amazon has certainly come up with Prime Day, which sits there and they started to split the year. And then they started to look at other Prime Days or Prime Sale Days, et cetera, which means they can take what would happen at Christmas and not distribute that, but recreate that environment elsewhere. Is this an opportunity or is this a warning for retail?
I'd say it's an opportunity for sure. Amazon's probably, as you've discussed, they're concerned about, jamming extra people in there to try and, handle the surge of business on a Prime Day and all the aftermath of shipping. So they're still a little worried. There's a lot of Delta virus, scares coming out, and it seems to be scaring the, stock market as well. So there's some concerns out there about really pushing your staff. So that gives maybe a little breathing room for the retailer to say, hey, let's get creative. Maybe let's have our own kind of sale day or whatever. And, really try to beef up our connection with our customers through all different means, digital and signage and so forth and advertising. And, take advantage of the fact that, Amazon's not going to go crazy for a little while, and you can take advantage of that.
Matt, Yulia, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's one of the best opportunities that we've seen recently through the pandemic of Amazon almost slowing. And whether or not it's because he just happened to jump into space and he even said that, thank you, employees, you've paid for this. Well, there's been 15 or 18 months of, some barriers and challenges about the quality of work environment for Amazon, right? So I think they're maybe going to give everyone a nugget in the marketing space and in the news. But that said, yeah, capture that opportunity, especially at that small local market where, I know many of the independent retailers here pride themselves on taking care of their very small community of employees, right? And some of the solopreneurs still are able to, similar to Yulia, like she wants to take care of herself. Okay, we'll capture that and just say, well, listen, we're here and we're open and let's make it local. And that will be something that can be that momentum builder for these businesses through summer into the fall, because Amazon is a pretty big ship and it's certainly not going to go anywhere. So even if it slows down, it's still going to overtake you quite quickly. And if it bumps into you, you're not going to survive, right? So you have to stay ahead of it. And this is one of those ways.
Yeah. One thing I always advise my clients is, trying to take advantage of, a downturn in the economy, or in this case, pandemic, is always be prepared. So then when you launch out of it, you're looking better than you used to look. You're more prepared. You're ready to take on that that reconnection with the customer, you look bigger, better, and brighter than you used to, and you got your act together, not figuring it out after the wave comes in, because there's going to be a whole reintroduction of the customer to the retailer again. We're going to want to go out and walk the mall and look in the stores and see, I'm going to look for, those fresh faces again, and neat programs and specials and the things that attract me. I'm basically open market. I'm able to reconnect to who wants to reconnect with me as a consumer, and I'm going to reestablish myself with my favorites and move on. But that's only a little bit of a window as we get back to business. After that, I've got my connections, and then I'm good for quite a while.
Mhm.
I also would like to say to that, the Amazon, it probably, yeah, it's definitely their strategy, right? So like they play in the game. Obviously now they're kind of slowing down, for example, that's what they're saying. Obviously they will hit hard in like Christmas, that season, right? So there wouldn't be room for any local maybe companies to, make any money, who knows, right? So, I mean, of course, if the opportunity is here, yeah, make money while you can, but Amazon will dictate, unfortunately, the other smaller retailers how to, play the game too. So unfortunately, everyone has to adjust to whatever Amazon will be doing. So in this case, probably so.
Mm. Now with that one there, and so for everybody on YouTube right now, the disembodied voice is Yulia. She's got to be off camera just for a little bit right now. Why? Because we all got busy lives. So let's take that for a moment. And while I heard Dawn starting to start with Matt hit it, and then Yulia just said it right now. Let's do it. Yulia, this one's for you, but it's for everybody else that's out there right now. It's the perfect marketing approach. Dawn's going to love it. Matt's going to go, that's classic, Mitch. Go right now on any social channel where your business is, whether you do something or not, put a pretty picture on there, add some words to it. Says, well, that sucked. Amazon Prime Day not happening this year in Canada. You were going to spend the money anyway. Have I got a deal for you? And then outline what you're going to do for a deal. Give them something. Offer them something. Give them a service. Well, you weren't going to spend that money on Prime Day this year anyway, so come get a back massage. Get an experience. Hire a coach. Get smarter at your job. Right? Hell, you want to leverage the money? Matt's got non-fiat currency, barter pay. Find a different way to spend money, do something else in there as well. Give somebody else an opportunity, chance, but more importantly, maybe spend the money on you. Invest in yourself, invest in your business, invest in something else. Don't spend it on Prime, spend it on your advertising. Every time there's an opportunity, and Don made a wonderful point. And yeah, what do you have here? You've got an event, entertainment, and experience person and 3 bloody coaches on this call today. Sometimes we've got a human resource professional. Sometimes we've got marketing pros. We got all sorts of different businesses. We've had, and now to talk about the people we've had on here, we've had electricians and HVAC people and handyman services and marketing and collateral, and we've got coaches and we've got experience providers, and we got all sorts of different stuff show up on here. Just business owners like you. So what are we all saying? Find a way to use it to reinvent. So if we had to pick something today, knowing that Prime has shit the bed, by the way, I always mark this as adult, not appropriate for children. So this is going to show up on YouTube Kids. So we could say bad words occasionally. Just means YouTube won't let me monetize this for advertising. Thanks, YouTube. Anyway, Amazon Prime Day in Canada has shit the bed. How do we make that count for us? Reinvention is big scale. What do we do specifically here right now? Do they take their Amazon Prime Day shopping money and put it into their advertising? Do they go out and say, sorry, Amazon crap the bed. Have we got deals for you? Normally, we'd ship it to a fulfillment center and send it out the door in the form of Amazon Prime Day, get it from us directly instead. Or screw listing with Amazon. And yeah, I'm coming after Amazon pretty hard right now. And no, I love Amazon. Enough of the brown box to show up at my house too. So please, Amazon, just keep my Prime stuff coming, right? I like it too. How do we take it and use that to capitalize? What's the behavior that we should do right now? We're the last full week of July. How do we make the rest of August really matter for our business? What do we do?
Yeah, certainly something you can leverage.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Dawn. Yeah, Julia, go ahead.
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, I would say like in the case of my company, probably, yeah, Amazon Prime is like 1 day shipping or whatever. So in my case, it's like instant shipping. So I definitely be the Amazon that way. So whoever wants to come and get the experience, it will be instant. So they can do it next day. pretty much the same, right? So versus Amazon Prime. So I don't know, how can you do that? Amazon?
Love it. Love it. Don, what you got?
I was just thinking of some of the other places that retail in July. Like, I don't know if you ever seen right now, there's Christmas movies on, it's 6 months to Christmas. There's this theme that, it's like, what those, W channel movies are on again, the best Christmas stuff, and watch a lot of them in December, but now they're here. They're just using just anything to hook into, a good buying season and, take advantage of it. So, hey, we can hook onto the Prime Day, which is, coming next to like Black Friday or Boxing Day. It's probably one of the third biggest, shopping days of the year. So it's like, take advantage of it and build on that momentum. I like your idea about, redirect your funds to something else and buy local. Hey, we've been waiting here, serving you, paying rent all this time. Help us out. We'll give you a good deal because you're going to say we're not going to send it to Amazon to ship to you. So.
And speak of HR, and HR arrives. There we go. Good to see you as always, Ash. Great to have you in here.
Sorry, I'm late.
Matt, what you got?
Well, I was just going to, again, agree with what has already been stated. It's been such a long time in this whole scenario, and I call it a scenario now, that we've, like day one, March 18th, people were like, shop local, shop local, shop local. And for some of us, we've done that. And, I've bypassed some of those third-party food apps just to make sure that the restaurants specifically are getting that profit that they need, but not always. I'm not talking about 100% of the time. And part of that conversation should be like, listen, Amazon's not going anywhere. I use it, you should use it. It does make sense. However, in this case, let's take those funds that you were going to spend. And again, none of us necessarily go on the Amazon app to spend as much as we do. It's no different than any other, like I will hold my wife's hand so tightly in Costco and some of these other areas because it's like, okay, here's the budget. And I know as soon as we walk through the door, it's like, wow, budget times 10, right? But let's do that and let's capture that opportunity because again, people are opening up their wallets now all of a sudden. They're opening up the minds, they're going out, they're opening up their front doors, which is great. So now it's just about, you've said you wanted to shop local. Yes, you have. We're not saying that Amazon's going anywhere. Just allow us to be that local market that is going to appreciate, especially this time of season, that you are going to be shopping with us. Because Christmas, we know, like, again, I have plenty of brown boxes show up throughout the week. I'm not quite sure who orders them, but it's strange to me.
Ash, I'm going to get your opinion in a moment, but Matt, you'd said something important. And I think our own buying habits when it comes to impulse buying have changed when it comes to Amazon. Because just to prove a point, and I'm shocked to find that my Amazon cart on the app, which is shared amongst my entire household, is actually empty. But there are 85 items saved for later. Just throwing it out there. There are 85 items saved for later. And my 9-year-old knows how to access Amazon. So all sorts of stuff starts to show up in the save for later. So, but Ash, what's your thoughts on that? Being able to capitalize on the environment, because how we started today was the fact that Amazon has decided to pull the plug on Prime Day in Canada just last night. So we opened up the conversation. How can we take advantage of that? What can we do that's going to be a little different? And how long that track record is going to go? And I've got something far more people-centered when it comes to business in a moment. We're looking at the way businesses should be able to capitalize what they can do, and even if they should. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the piece that Matt was talking about with regards to shop local and let's support local, right? A lot of the unfortunate reasons people don't is because the Amazons have it cheaper or more convenient or whatever the reason is. And so I want to challenge local to stick to their guns. I want to challenge them not to think, okay, I have to cut my costs to compete. I have to give them more incentive to come because, as we've talked about in this panel before, you cut your value by cutting your prices. It's very hard to then go back up to what you deserve and what you're worth. So, we've talked a lot about pivot. We've talked a lot about, adaptability. But I think at the end of the day, the more that we focus on building relationships, building community, and Matt, you and I talked this morning about authenticity, right? If you can prove that you're here from a good place, you have a good offering and you back your offering, that in the long run is going to go a lot farther than, hey, I can order it off of whichever online platform. So granted, I just showed up and not sure if that was repeated or not needed, but at the same point, I think that we have to look inside ourselves and go, okay, how are we going to do this and how are we going to compete? But always relate it back to your values and your mission and your vision, because if it doesn't fit your mission, your vision, or your strategic direction, then it's not worth it, because you're going to cheapen yourselves or your direction by trying to adapt in a way that isn't you. So.
All right. So now we're going to segue for a moment to really take it into the back half of today. We're talking about retail environment. Prime set the table for us last night to start this conversation as well, to look at the way we should capitalize opportunity, to think about how much opportunity we had, to start to drag around the way that environment works. Something else that shifted for the last little while, you just heard it from a player like Amazon that has certainly been getting pounded the last little while over this sort of stuff. Other big box retailers, etc., has to do with the almighty employee, not the almighty dollar. What has the last 3 months started to shift when it comes to that employee-centered environment, especially when we talk about things, the words like the market is reopening, the workplace is reopening, people are going back to the office, etc. Well, that certainly hasn't lasted long, depending on district, area, territory, city, county, community, state, province, whatever. Some are already going back to restrictions. Some are just waiting to see what's going on. Some workplaces have spent the last 16 months seeming to empower their workers. And they're like, now we expect you back in the office at 8 o'clock Monday morning. Get used to wearing a tie and yoga pants again. So what is the COVID environment doing for the haves and the have-nots? In other words, the way it's changing what work is. Because again, I love looking at LinkedIn and all those other places. Just saw an article not that long ago that had a whole bunch of workplace experts tagging on to probably the last month worth of conversations about the change in the work environment. And the way it was titled was, has 9 to 5 changed? And then the very first line is, when we really think that it's quite a bit more likely, 8 to 6, 7 to 7, etc. You got self-employed, you have small business owners, you have entrepreneurs, you have bigger businesses. The work environment and the way we expect to do work has changed an awful lot. So what does that really mean for what's happening next? And what's the opportunity when it comes to doing your own thing, but more importantly, employing good people? How has it started to change? And what should we be doing with that next for our people?
So a couple things there I want to chime in on. Number one, I think there was a lot of disbelievers in the traditional marketplace pre-COVID of, if you're not in your desk, you're not working. And that obviously was challenged very hardcore when everything shut down and you had no choice, right? They were forced into submission. And now that we're coming back to the office, I'm seeing some of those personalities rebound to the way they were. And I'm seeing a lot of modifications, adapting, option choice, thinking outside the box. And so on the first premise, if you're an organization that is mandating back in the office and you don't need to based on your business model, don't, because you're going to lose employees very quickly. And the second part is, I think the underlying foundation to all of this is trust. It has to do with engagement. It has to do with retention. It has to do with productivity and success in your business. And if the model is you have to come into the office, or that's the mandate made, the perception behind the scenes is going to be, well, does that mean you don't trust me? Does that mean you don't trust me to be a professional and do the job you hired me to do? And there's accountability and things you can put in place as a business owner. But at the end of the day, if the message you're conveying, even subliminally, is I don't trust you, again, you're going to be in a really tough spot go forward with your people. So those are the two things that I would chime in first there.
Matt, Dawn, thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly concur with Ashley about the changing job environment, and I think in North America what we're seeing is maybe a shortage of labor and a tough hiring, and because a lot of people now have more choices. You can live in Toronto and work in Calgary. You can live in Vancouver and work in Windsor. Because of the thing. So good people will be in demand at good places, but they don't have to live in those towns anymore. So there's a lot more flexibility to get the people you want. But I also saw during the pandemic, maybe it was because of, payments from the governments or this or that, but there's a lot of people that just maybe fell out of the workforce that are just not as interested in working as they used to be. And so, especially on the basic level of hiring, there's, quite a demand and there's not a lot of people there. So there's businesses that want to scale back up and get going, but they're not finding the people. So again, as a owner, you have to think, how do I be creative, to make it attractive place to work? And when you look on job applications and things that people looking for work, they all now is always asking, do you want to work remote, or maybe that's all you want to do is work remote? So it's become part of our new normal that people are expecting it. So it's an interesting shift in the employment area.
Well, I think to build on that quickly, Don, I think also the piece of that is there are some roles that may work long-term remote or hybrid, but maybe in order to orientate, understand culture, understand role, understand key deliverables, build those internal relationships, there's probably an element to that that needs to be in the office in some way, shape, or form. One of my clients hired somebody on a C-suite level, and it was 100% remote from day one. And for various reasons, it didn't work. But then I think, okay, part of that, there's so many factors, but I think you really, as a business owner, should be challenged to think, okay, what's the nature of the role? What are the goals of the role? Am I hiring the right person for the right chair in the role? And then to your point, Dawn, it's about engagement and pivoting and, really focusing on what you're offering to keep them there. And I think managing and engaging a remote workforce is a lunch hour all on its own, Mitch.
Very likely. Matt?
Yeah, honestly, I don't need to take much time. Yes, I agree. I have a client at arm's length that works for the city of Edmonton, and it was odd to me because their plan is like at most 20% of their workforce would be in that brand new glass tower that we just built downtown for all of the city of Edmonton workers. And longer term, they're visionaries. It's fantastic because they're like, listen, we know it's going to be that hybrid model. So it only makes sense. But I have a residential property that looks into that building. And I'll tell you that I've been there more frequently to show it. And I literally have never seen somebody in that tower. And yesterday I got to wave at somebody awkwardly. So I was like, oh my goodness, there's somebody there. So it is happening, right? And again, it's just one of those things where we have the infrastructure, but do we actually need it, right? Like we have these towers downtown that realistically moving forward are going to be a meeting place, yes, and it's going to be for more culture and team building, but realistically the efficiencies that I've found by working, at this desk here has been tremendous. Like I'm far more efficient without going to the office. So I'm definitely a believer in remote work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll mirror that for a moment, because if I take my morning as just a snapshot or a window, I worked with a dozen people this morning, 10 people, whatever it was, then went right into a client meeting and then another client meeting. And now I'm here meeting with you, with all of you. This would not be permissible or possible in the physical world to have done it at the volume or the pace that I've done today. Started at 7 this morning. It's not going to end until 1:30. We're going to finish talking here in the next 15 minutes. But then I've got another person right after that from 1 o'clock to 1:30. That volume would not be permissible in the real world if it wasn't for digital. And to be able to shift as quickly as that happens is certainly sped up. So thinking about that for a moment, but now I want to stay on the topic of people, but if instead, because we always want this to be part of education for other people, right? And yes, we're hedging our bets by having an HR expert in the room, and we got good coaches and stuff like that. But even from Yulia, because she's an entrepreneur, she's a businesswoman, she's got her own thing going on. If you are, or we're hiring right now to put somebody next to you in your business, what do you think they're looking for, and what are you offering? What are you doing to induce and entice? Because I can say, and I'm sure Ashley will reinforce this, that money is important, but it's also the last thing that's on the table as opposed to other things, and the marketplace has shifted. What are you saying to these people right now about the kind of environment, the kind of work, the way they're going to be able to structure, flex, where you want them, how you want them, what you want them to do, etc.? What are we doing? And how are we going to bring somebody in? What are we taking to offer them right now? In other words, how are we going to fix it for ourselves? And more importantly, how are we going to show value to those people that are coming to us? Don't everybody jump in first.
I'll do it.
Yes.
Yeah, when it comes to hiring, like for me personally, I would look into like a hybrid model for sure. I not necessarily want the person be like like, neck to neck with me, working in the office, doing whatever need to be done. So as longer you delegate whatever task you need to delegate, and there might be once a week you have an in-person meeting, discuss and move, like plan for the next week or whatever. So to me, I'm open to that. I rather actually person work on, like after the whole transition, work on their own and just see the results. That's the main thing. So as long as I see the results, it doesn't matter where the person and how the person will work. They can take the whole day off and work in the evening as long as the job is done. So
Okay.
One of my concerns with this new shift as we go almost all the way to the other side, and Ashley brought it up, it was about culture. Typically you have to hire somebody that fits with your culture, or sometimes it's described as the right DNA, has to be a match. And now without that, maybe working side by side with them for a while, I think, you're going to have some challenges. How do they develop that culture? Maybe they brought a certain amount with it that's kind of a match, same sort of values or ideas and things that they do, but where do they get the rest of it? I don't know if you absorb it through Zoom very well, about what's the culture of your people and how they act, because you're not, rubbing elbows at the coffee machine. You're not having lunch with that person, grab them out and take them for a coffee, in the work environment. So you're not sharing and, creating that bond. I think we'll probably go too far one way, and then someone's going to say, hey, we need people back in the office, and we're going to probably have to snap back for a while.
Okay.
I think to add to that, I'll take a different approach. So when you're hiring individuals in this new marketplace, we'll call it, I would focus on two things. One is communicate some stability. And it doesn't have to be, we promise to employ you for X, because it's not realistic or doable. But if you can showcase throughout the interview that you've got a strategic plan for the business, that the business is tried, tested, and true in maybe a pandemic, if one happens to hit us, and that you have some contingency plans to maintain employment as long as possible, those kinds of conversations will give people a lot of confidence to make a change in this unnerving market right now. And it will also help people see your transparency as a leader, because they'll trust you because you're willing to bear those strategic plans or goals in an interview. So that's one. I think the other thing is I'm going to focus the camera back on all the leaders. I think in a remote workplace or a hybrid workplace, you and your transparency, your authenticity, and your actual care for the employees and your connection to the brand is going to go so far. Because if you exhibit that every day as a leader, your employees are not only going to connect to your brand, but they're going to connect to you. And most people leave their job because of a leader, not necessarily pay. So yes, you have to be competitive on pay and benefits and all of that stuff. But I think if you can prove stability or show it, and you can exude and talk the talk when it comes to your leadership, then you'll have an edge above the rest.
Okay.
I have so much to say, but I won't say all of it. I've got a timer on, Ashley. Don't you worry. So yes, it's going to identify the gaps in the business's owner's process and strategy. So if you don't have the process dialed in and on paper, you're not going to be able to share it as effectively now, because it will be remote. I believe that the culture component of any business is going to have to be, like Don had mentioned, kind of in person. That's where we're going to see those team builds, and maybe 15% of the hours invested are going to be, okay, let's talk culture, let's talk big picture, long term as a team, real world. And then from there, we're going to have to be, as leaders, or the management teams are going to have to be very structured with the metrics or the KPIs in, like for me, it would be, here's the paper, here's what you need to accomplish this week. If you can do that in 15 hours, go 2. If it's at 10 o'clock at night from home, go 2. If you have to come into the office because you feel better about it, go 2. But this is what you need to accomplish. And that, I believe, is going to be something that is going to create some success plans for some of the smaller companies going all the way back to retail. They're able to pivot to be more agile faster because they only have X amount of employees, right? So they can deliver those papers faster than these big ships that are out there, right? So I think it's going to be a huge benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had an interesting opportunity to talk to a business owner at the golf game at the Chamber of Commerce here on Wednesday, and he has this sort of answering service business. You know, we're used to be housed in an office, and now it's remote all over. It doesn't matter where they are. He just hires the different people. But what he does about culture and bring them together, he says, now we meet on a regular basis in a hotel. You know, but with all the money I've saved on infrastructure, I can now take them to the Fairmont in Vancouver or something and bring these people who would probably never go to this Fairmont hotel, you know, and have a wonderful experience for 2 or 3 days, getting, you know, indoctrinated about the company and all that kind of stuff, you know, and do that on a regular basis with the money they save from the, but they still know they have to spend it to bring the team together to kind of grow and stay on the same page. But they're doing it and creating a much more interesting experience than just the office.
Is there still time to elaborate a bit on this topic? Yeah. What I was like, yeah, obviously culture is very important, right? What I'm also thinking right now, who is the working force pretty much? Like it's people who millennials, right? And will be younger than millennials. So I think we have to look at that as well. Obviously, like we have already some traditional workplace, right? But since generation shift into the workplace will also has to adjust. So it obviously depends on the company, how they see their workplace, how they would like to have hybrid, remote completely or in person. But with generations, I would say it will shift no matter what, and no matter COVID, no COVID, it just eventually will be completely different like 10 years from now. So, and well, eventually the robots will take our place anyway. So
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Now, I've saved it to the very end. Matt, you knew this was coming anyway. I got the doozy for you guys. I decided I just couldn't let one of these days go without heaving at least one big rock in the middle. Right now, with what we're going to see for the next 5 months going to the end of the year, is it better to be big or is it better to be little? As a business, is it better to be big or is it better to be little? Based on what we just saw for the last 16 months and what we expect to happen over the next 5, COVID, everything else happening inside the environment right now. Better to be big, better to be little. Better to have more stuff inside or better to be more nimble. You can take a minute to think about it for a moment. All of us here own our own little businesses, but which has been better with what we watched the last 16 months, so what we're going to see for the next 5, and what we think is going to happen, which is better, big or little?
I'm going to chime in. Little. And that's coming from the Hobbit in the room, right? So of course you want to be, over the course of the last 16 months, I would have said through what we've just come out of, you needed to be big because it was just easier to take on debt. It was easier for the expenses. It was easier for all of that, right? Size can hide a lot of the challenges in business. But right now we're coming out. And again, the lighter you are, the faster you can fly, right? So, and the faster you typically can move. So we've chatted about the pivot and, you know, just make some motion and create that environment where your customers can still come to you, but you have to meet them halfway, right? And Don spoke about that again, like a delivery service or the meal programs or whatever it may be. You have to be able to make a move and go and follow up on it, right? Like big companies are great with the ideas, but in order to drive that down to the people that actually implement it and work it on a day-to-day basis, it takes so much time. In a business like our sizes, my size, I can deliver a message and we can work it and rep it out very quickly and be able to kind of live it, love it, learn it faster than the big guys. So I say small.
Yeah, I tended to agree. I thought I had a really good answer, and then Matt said it all. So, you know, from a financial standpoint and a longevity of confidence or security, I think big, of course, but I think in what we've seen, it is so essential to be able to pivot on a dime, listen to your clients, listen to the market, change, you know, pivot, maybe offer a whole new product and don't offer the old product, right? And I think you have the ability to do that as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, or small business much better than you do an Amazon. or even not as big as an Amazon, a local, multi-retailer. So yeah, I would concur. I think small medium is going to be more powerful.
I'll take the opposite. I'll say large, because I think what the large companies had to do over the last 18 months was first purge out a lot of people and just keep the best that they could afford, the best minds, and really they've had 18 months to kind of figure out how to retool their business. Yeah, they're slower and they're not as nimble, but they did it. They're figuring out what's the extra things they got to do. And now they're launching back out. I don't think they have as many wounds as the small player has, and that they're not limping and getting back into business. They've kind of got this figured out, and they're going to be a lot faster to market, coming back in. They're lean and mean, and they got it figured out, and they got maybe some financial support and backing behind them to maybe make it go. So the small guys, took a lot of wounds, and now you're expecting them to kind of bounce back. I think they're going to be a little bit slow at it.
Okay. Yulia, thoughts?
I guess guys said already everything, but I just add, like, to me, it's also, I think, small. I'm leaning more to that, a little. In terms of the bigger companies, yeah, they have more power, right? That's pretty much what they have versus smaller guys. But small guys, they can be still almighty too. So we should also consider that. And even you're small, you still can do big things, right? So.
All right. Last one. Consider this lightning round. Okay. Better to be relentless, better to be smart, better to be fast, or better to be tough? We've got to survive the next 5 months. Better to be relentless, better to be smart, better to be fast, or better to be tough? Which is it?
Relentless.
I would say fast.
I'll say smart.
I'd say tough.
Yes.
Something for everyone.
Yes, there's something for everybody. All right.
Everybody fight.
Matt, you got 30 seconds. Why?
Simply, that's always been me. You know me, you know my wife. Like, the fortitude and tenacity has always been important because we're scrappy, right? Like, yes, tough is good. And if I get hit by a bigger dude, then it's going to hurt. But if I can say, yeah, I'll get back up, it doesn't matter how fast, how strong, how big. If you have the mindset of I'm going to get through it no matter what, you're going to win.
Yulia, 30 seconds. Go.
I said fast because, like, faster you set your goals, faster you do whatever you need to do. So faster you're going to be up on your feet again. Obviously, all these things, it's hard to pick one, but I choose that just because, faster you do things, faster you get up front again. So
Love it. Ash, 30 seconds. Go.
I'd say tough because you're in an environment like this, you're going to get beat down. You're going to hear no, you're going to have to pivot. You're going to have late night strategic planning. And if you've got the toughness, and maybe tough is too relatable to the other Matt's word, resilience or anything. But yeah, I just think if you're tough, you can handle anything and bounce back. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Don, bring it up the rear.
Smart. I think you've got limited resources. You got a quick time. You have to come back. You have to make the best and smart decisions about going forward. It's not about having lots of tenacity and all that. I mean, you need that as part of being an entrepreneur, but now you've got to make some really good, informed, well-educated decisions about what you're going to do for the next 5 months. You need to be smart about it.
All right. Panel, as always, here we are, 12:55 on a Friday. We heard some differing opinions. We heard some same opinions. But more than that, for everybody that's watching us live out there as well, we heard opinions, but these opinions are founded in two really important parts. First of all, opinion, meaning this is what I think, but opinion because this is what I know because what I'm experiencing. And we have experts in their own field, but also people that are living it just like you every single day. Dawn, Ashley, Yulia, as always, thank you so much. Yulia, I know you're showing up all the time. Ashley, you're doing the same thing. Dawn, it's great to see you here, brother. It is absolutely fantastic. And to my brother from another mother. And on my screen, he's right there. I don't know on your screen who I'm pointing to, but I know on my screen, he's sitting right there. Matt, it is a pleasure as always. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of the tribe from Syndicate that have joined me today, thank you so much. And to our audience out there and those that get to see this coming forward, first of all, check out the other videos. You're going, Mitch, why the hell am I going to invest an hour? What else are you doing on YouTube, right? How many more cat videos can you watch? How many more conspiracy theories? We've seen all there is. The government's coming out with all the alien stuff now. We know that we're living in a hologram. It doesn't matter. It's all there. So it either all matters or doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, to continue to give life purpose, and more importantly, make a portion of your life that's significant, important, etc., you need information, you need education, and you need to get other people around you. That's what we bring to you every single week on Mitch Cambridge Coaching's MCC's Virtual Business Box Lunch. Business owners just like you talking about business that they're living in right now, the environment that we are all being exposed to, and more importantly, the stuff that's really important to make sure that our business, my business, your business, can create and continue to sustain an impact inside the marketplace. Panel today, Dawn, Ashley, Yulia, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of myself, the Savage in Business, thank you for joining us. We will see you next Friday at noontime, where there'll be a brand new slate of things to talk about. I'll even throw the odd doozy in too. Like maybe we'll talk about whether the androids are going to take over the earth. We can always come back to that one because that was lots of fun a month ago. And Matt's going, I still have hives. And it still itches when I talk about it. But that's okay. We'll bring it back to you hot and fresh as well. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Check out the other videos in this series. And of course, check out everything else on this channel. Check out everybody that's talking here because they're business owners just like you. They're bringing what they think, what they know, what they're educated on, and more importantly, what they're living through. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. And as always, have a fantastic day. Crew,